Hello everyone, my name is Joshua and this is my project for my human sexuality class. In this video, I am going to try my best to explain the trans identity, treatments for it, and how to best support someone who is trans. The purpose of this video is to educate both adults and youth about the trans identity while also acting as a resource center for trans people. The first half will go into the trans identity, how to support someone, facts about it, while the second half of the video will cover various resources for trans people. Before we get things started, I would like to remind you that you and the identity that you choose to identify with are valid, and no one can take it away from you. Please do not listen to the hate that is currently being pushed by transphobes. To anyone watching, any allies, or anyone that is simply interested in the topic, please try to support your trans peers at this time as they are being attacked and villainized by people who do not fully understand the identity and wish to push hate. Being an ally is one of the most powerful things you can do right now in terms of supporting the trans community. Now, to get into the topic of the video, what is a transgender person? A transgender person is a person who identifies with a gender identity other than the one assigned at birth. Oftentimes, this is due to internal gender dysphoria, though gender dysphoria is not a requirement to be trans, with some trans people choosing to identify as trans without having dysphoria. An example of a trans person without gender dysphoria could be a person choosing to identify as non-binary. A non-binary person is someone that identifies with a gender that is not solely male or female. If you feel that you may be trans or are currently struggling with your gender identity, speak to an adult figure in your life. They can range from your parents to your school counselor. Please refrain from internalizing these feelings. It will only be detrimental to your mental health in the long run. It is important to remember that gender identity is different than gender expression. Gender identity is what a person chooses to identify within themselves, whereas gender expression is how someone chooses to express their gender, whether it be through the clothes they wear, the interests they hold, or the mannerisms they engage in. An example of gender identity is a cis man choosing to identify with the gender they were assigned at birth, whereas an example of gender expression would be a cis male choosing to wear masculine clothing and maintaining short hair to express his masculinity. Now, what is gender dysphoria? Gender dysphoria is defined as a term that describes a deep sense of unease that a person may feel because of a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. Essentially, gender dysphoria is a feeling of unease that the gender you are currently identifying as is not the gender that you feel like inside. How do I treat trans people in my day-to-day life, and how do I become a better trans ally? The most important thing you can do to be a better trans ally is to be supportive and affirming of the gender identity that a trans person is currently identifying with. Being transgender right now is very stressful because of the slew of transgender rhetoric being spread and bills being passed, such as anti-trans sports bills. Another way you can be a better trans ally is using your social media account to advocate for trans people, and you can do this by sharing infographics, sharing facts about trans people that will better educate your followers on the identity. And you can also use your social media to share resources such as this video. This segment of the video will function as a sort of a resource center for trans people currently watching, with a focus on Canadian resources. But I will talk about resources that can be accessed worldwide. I will name a couple of trans/LGBTQ resources with a brief explanation of the resource and how it can be accessed. Every resource that I include in this video will be linked in the description below. I have also put a couple of websites in the description that contain numerous resources for any viewers that want to find resources on their own that are better suited to their specific needs. I will now start talking about the resources. The first resource I will be speaking about is the LGBT Youth Line. The LGBT Youth Line is a service that provides anonymous peer support to young people with a wide range of issues from eating disorders to depression to help LGBT youth. On the screen, you can see the contact information for the LGBT Youth Line, and you can simply pause the video so you can contact them yourself. The second topic that I've chosen to include in this video is the Trans Lifeline. The Trans Lifeline is a crisis lifeline made by trans people that provides peer support for anyone that is trans that is looking for a peer to support them. The Trans Lifeline does not engage in non-consensual interventions, so callers do not have to worry about emergency service being called on them. So essentially, the Trans Lifeline provides a lifeline for trans people to call whenever they need support from my peer or anything else that they may be struggling with. Friends of Ruby is a drop-in center in Toronto that provides a safe space for LGBTQ youth that provides free housing, counseling, and social services. Friends of Ruby also provides strong social advocacy for trans people both online and in real life. If you wish to visit the Friends and Ruby Center that's located in Toronto, you can simply pause the video and you can see the address on the screen right now. The Rainbow Health Ontario site provides resources to help trans people with their transition through various tools that can be accessed online. The website offers tools and advice for people who may be struggling with social transition that can be accessed on the website. Rainbow Health has a location in Toronto, with the address being on screen, that provides resources and referrals that can help people with their transition. The Trevor Project is a resource and advocacy center focused on the prevention of suicide within the LGBTQ community. The Trevor Project offers a resource center online to help youth and adults to educate themselves on the LGBTQ community so they can better understand the identities within the community. The Trevor Project also gives youth the opportunity to speak to a counselor through its website to people who are based in the US. The Trevor Project also provides a 24/7 lifeline for trans and LGBTQ people that can be reached at the number on the screen. Thank you for watching the video. I hope I was able to teach you something today.